Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the products that I'm planning to pan for 2022. I did do a iteration of this video back at the end of 2020 for my products that I wanted to pan in 2021, and I had a lot of fun looking through my collection and kind of planning my future project panning, the things I wanted to focus on and the things I wanted to work out of my collection. I want to share with you 12 items from my collection that I am hoping to finish off in the new year. I would love to hear from you if you would like to see them in future project pans, any insights or experiences that you had with those products as well. But before we hop into it, I do want to just kind of reflect on the items that I had selected for last year as well. My original intention was to kind of have these as two separate videos. I just don't entirely know what my filming schedule for the upcoming weeks is going to look like, so seeing as we are going to chat a little bit about my future project panning plans, I do just want to share a quick recap on the items that I talked about last year in this video as well, because I'm really excited that out of the 15 items that I had shared with you in that video, of course that will be linked down in the description box if you want to check that out and kind of watch my thoughts about those products. But out of those 15 items that I had set out to pan in the new year, I actually completed, used up, they will be in my beauty empties at the end of this year, 11 of those items. That is pretty stellar. I'm pretty happy with that. So I used up 11 items. I decluttered 3, and then one of them was one that I just didn't complete. I still have it in my collection, but I wasn't able to get it used up in the year. So I'm pretty hyped on that, to be honest. So why don't we just talk about those 15 products very quickly. The first one was the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Primer. I had worked on that in my 20 favorites in 2020 project pan, so I knew that I was really close. I did end up finishing that off at the tail end of summer of this year, and I'm really happy to have worked that out of my collection. As much as I liked that formula, it was nice to just get that used up, as that had been the previous year's goal. The next 2 items were the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue. I had 2 different shades of those, which both were near their expiry dates, so I wanted to finish them off, and it was absolutely no problem whatsoever for me to finish those up because I love that formula so much. I have recently also repurchased it in a shade that I didn't have previously, but I have a feeling or a hope and dream that it'll work for me. So that just goes to show how much I love that formula. And yeah, I'm really happy that those are worked out of my collection. As much as I love them, I was actually able to use them up in a reasonable amount of time, which feels so good. The next item was the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. That is discontinued now, and I had it in my collection for several years, so I'm really happy I was able to finish it off. When I talked about it last year, I felt like I was going to just love every moment of using it because I did in the past, but I didn't have that experience this time around when I was panning this one, so it was a little bit slow going, but I'm happy to say that I did polish it off entirely, as well as the Derma E Sun Protection Mineral Powder. That was an SPF powder that I received in PR from Derma E. It wasn't something that I had picked up on my own, and I never really would have thought of having something like that in my collection, but the expiry date was in this past year, so it was for July 2021, and I finished it off closer to the fall time, but I'm happy I worked it out of my collection, moved it out. I definitely need to get moving on some other loose powders from my collection as well, but that one definitely took priority just due to the expiry date. And then I also finished off a mini of the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector liquid in the shade Opal. That was not in any sort of focused project pan. That was something that I just felt like I could use up without any sort of trouble, and I did so. I absolutely loved reaching for that liquid highlighter. I recently purchased the Auric Glow Lust in the shade Selenite, which is an item that I have been lusting after for so long. It really fits the name, doesn't it? And I am so excited to have that in my life. So that was kind of like, if I worked at the Becca highlighter, I was thinking I'll purchase Selenite as soon as it's available and ready and in stock, and so I ended up doing so not that long ago. I finished the Becca highlighter though way back at the beginning of this year, before I even moved, which was June. So that has been out of my life for quite some time, and it feels really good to have worked that out. I do have a lot of liquid highlighting types of products to love in my collection. But yeah, I'm super happy with that one being completed. I had also wanted to finish off another item that was a carryover from my 20 favorites in 2020 Project Pan, which was the Colourpop Lux Lipstick in the shade Tiptoe. I ended up decanting that into an old Colourpop Super Shock shadow and using it as a cream blush in the early parts of this year, and I'm really happy that I did finish that off in my Partners in Cream Project Pan. It was such a beautiful shade, which is so unfortunate that it's discontinued because I love that formula and I love that color, but I'm happy to have worked it out of my collection. Lipsticks have been a really big challenge for me in the past, and I'm trying to really fix that. I'm trying to repair that. And so I've been really trying to work on not bringing in as many lipstick formulas into my collection so that I can actually get use out of the ones that I already own. And then a big accomplishment for me that you haven't yet seen physically, but I have alluded to, I've mentioned in one other video. It is the Milani Baked Blush in the shade Luminoso. I had that in my collection for absolutely eons, like far too long to want to admit, and I finished it off finally. I didn't finish it in my Graveyard Project Pan after having it in that project for 3 freaking years, but I did finish it off shortly after. Just a couple weeks ago, I polished off the last little bits of powder in there, and that feels huge. That is such a big like weight off of my shoulders, and it feels like a big accomplishment that I'm really happy with. So that feels good. Really good actually. And then I also finished off a mini bronzer, which I finished in the Graveyard Project Pan actually. It was the Becca Sunlit bronzer in the shade Bronzed Bondi. It was just a teeny tiny little sample size, but I really wanted to get it used up and out of my collection, and so it feels like a big accomplishment to have finally been able to do that. I'd also said that I wanted to finish off the e.l.f. Lip Plumping Gloss in the shade Champagne Glam. Loved that product, so it was super easy to finish off. I put it in my 30 by 30 Project Pan, and I finished it before I reached for it 30 times because there really wasn't that much left in there. And I seem to be able to go through lip glosses pretty well this past year. It's been something that I've come to realize is a really easy to pan kind of category for me. And I really enjoy all of the lip gloss formulas that I have been able to pan as well. And then the final item, I technically haven't finished it, but I put it into this category. So it's the 11th item in my like completed goals. It's the Makeup Geek and Kathleen Lights Highlighter Palette, because when I put that into that video, I knew I wasn't going to finish it off. I just was planning to kind of make some sort of focus, energy, and effort onto it. I really wanted to ensure it was something that I reached for in the new year, and I'm really happy that I did end up reaching for it in my 30 by 30 Project Pan. I put the two like colors that had basically been untouched, even though that palette was years old. I put that into that project, and I was able to formulate some new opinions and get to know that product so much more. So yes, it's not in my makeup empties, but I did end up accomplishing what I had set out to do. I did end up also decluttering 3 out of the 15 products. The first one is the Essence 2-in-1 eyeshadow and primer. I had that in the shade Nude Beige. It just was not working for me. I hadn't really used it quite enough in the past to really know if the formula ended up changing that dramatically or if it just was not a good product from the beginning, but I just decided I'm not gonna bother with it, and I let it go. And then I also did a lip product declutter earlier this year in like the springtime. I was doing like a spring cleaning, trying to reset my collection a little bit, and I ended up decluttering 2 of the lip products that I had talked about in that video, one being the Mellow Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Nude. I just didn't really feel compelled to reach for that one. I knew that I was going to not really hate pan it, but not enjoy the process of panning it, so I decided I would just let it go. And then the other one was a pretty old lip gloss in my collection. It was the Annabelle Big Show Lip Shine in the shade Whisper. And I have not even thought about that lip product since I did that declutter. It's not something that I loved, enjoyed, needed in any sort of capacity, and that's pretty evident because I haven't thought about it in at least 6 months' time. And then the one item that I was not able to finish that I had set out to do, I'm going to be talking about in today's video, so this is like the perfect segue into the products that I want to finish in 2022. It is the Physicians Formula Butter Blush in the shade Natural Glow. I did end up rolling this into my Graveyard Project Pan this year, but I am nowhere near done it, like not even close at all. I ended up kind of just shifting my focus, and I was a little overwhelmed for a while with focus products as well, so I didn't put too much pressure on myself to actually get this finished off. So on that kind of unfortunate note, why don't we talk about the other 11 items that I really want to finish off in 2022. I am rolling this into my products I want to pan in the new year. So I am hoping that by my mid-year check-in of this kind of roundup, that I'll have made some decent progress in like June of next year. But yeah, let's hop on into the other 11 remaining products I want to share with you. I've selected items from my collection that I feel like are truly attainable to actually be able to use up, but some of them do offer a little bit of a challenge, things that are a little bit older, they need to work their way out of my collection, and I just want to bring them to the forefront to make sure that happens. So the first item is one that I just had recently in my 30 by 30 project pan, and when I wrapped up that project, I said, I'll probably be able to finish this off in no time whatsoever in the new year. It is the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Face Primer. When I was working on my 30 by 30 project pan this year, my goal with this product and others was to really be able to formulate my opinion on those items, get to know them a little bit better, better understand the way that I like to use them, and also to make some headway into my future project panning so that I had a little bit of progress for upcoming project pans. This item, I feel like I was able to really like attain both of those goals with, and I'm really happy with the progress I did make in that project pan. I only have a tiny little bit of this left, so it's not going to be an issue whatsoever in the new year to finish this off. I just need to keep it at the top of mind. As much as this seems kind of like it could be a bit of a gimme product, I know sometimes I like check these things off of my list once I've had them in a project pan, and then you know, a year or a year and a half later, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I not finish that? So this one, I'd like to finish off in the earlier parts of 2022 if possible. I've picked up this foundation that I would love to finish off in the new year as well. I am a little hesitant to say that I can make that happen, but I feel like with a little bit of effort and energy, it's possible. So it is the Becca Skin Love Weightless Blur Foundation. I have mine in the shade Cashmere. It is probably best suited to me in this winter time kind of season because this is a very light color, but I love the warm undertone of this. And I can wear it right now, but in the like summer and next year in the fall, I would be able to mix this with like a cream bronzer to make it the perfect tone. So it's something that I will be able to reach for throughout the entirety of the year, but I'd love to finish it off sooner than later. I've had it in my collection for a couple years now. Becca is no longer a brand, and I just really need to make some headway on the foundations in my collection. So I selected this one as one that I really want to focus on because I do already have, you know, some progress on it. There's quite a bit of product already used out of it, and I know that I like this formula, so it shouldn't be too much of a challenge. And then the other one, I feel like if you had asked me only a couple months ago, I would have thought this would be impossible, but I just wrapped up my Partners in Cream project pan and I made really great progress on this, so I just want to keep up that momentum. This is the Colourpop No Filter Sticks. I have this in the shade Light 67N, and I only have the teeniest bit of this left. As I said previously, I will dig into this. I'll end up using every last possible drop of it. I actually have come to really enjoy this, and with the little amount of product that's remaining in here, it'll not be an issue whatsoever to finish it off. Again, it's just keeping it at the top of mind and making sure I don't put it back into my collection and just like let it die. I want to actually make more progress and finish this off. That will be so satisfying. As I said in the roundup portion of this video talking about the Becca highlighter, I have several liquid highlighters or like glowy primers in my collection, and I want to use up probably more than one, but I just wanted to focus on this one for today's video. This is again the kind of product that I think is probably a gimme. However, it could have been a gimme for like 2021 as well, and I didn't really reach for it that often. It is the Josie Maran Argan Enlightenment Illuminizer. I believe this only comes in one shade, which is like a soft golden champagne-y kind of color. It's really pretty, and as you can see, I've probably used up about half of what's in this mini. This is not the full size by any means, but this came in like a clean beauty kind of kit from Sephora. I imagine I should be able to wear this like mixed in with foundations or with skincare. I can wear it on my shoulders and collarbone in the summertime. So if I just, again, focus on it, put in that effort, this will be done. And I just want to hold myself accountable. That's the sentiment for pretty much all of these products. I also picked out a concealer, and you can see I've made really great progress on this without it having been in a project pan quite yet. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer Satin Finish in the shade Light Sand. What a tongue twister. But I have just under half of this already used up, which I feel like is really great because I have worked on some concealers in my collection as focus products in this year, and this was not one that I ever focused on, but I really like this formula. I like the coverage. I love the way that this looks and feels under my eyes, and it would be an absolute treat to focus on this in a project pan. It'd be something that I could just enjoy the process of using, and I can actually keep good track on this as well because it seems to settle, so that is also very satisfying. I have had this next product in several project pans, and it is time to say goodbye. I'm also not sure that it's possible, but I could try. I can definitely try. It is the Essence Satin Touch Blush in this shade Satin Love. I know I've said that so many times on my channel, and I always trip up every single time I say it. As you can see, I do have 2 specks of pan on here already. This is actually a product that I have repressed, so it is a little bit more loosely pressed in the pan now, and it is quite thin. Like, it's definitely not completely full by any means, but there still is a lot of product here. And I like having a little bit of blush variety, so I'm not going to use this as like my exclusive blush for the early parts of the year just to use it up. But this is something that I'm going to probably not put into a project pan, but just ensure that I reach for it on a frequent basis. I have removed it from the original packaging because it broke, and I still have that so that I can talk about it like when I finally have this in an empties in the future. But it's definitely time to let go of it because this past year I really overlooked it. It's just time to let it go. I have this decanted in like a magnetic palette, and I seem to just overlook it all the time because I can't actually see the packaging, and I kind of just can shove that in the back of my drawer and ignore it. But it's time to just bring it to the forefront and finish it off. Do you think I can do this? I don't know. Is it possible? Especially considering it's repressed, I think it is possible. I am wearing it today on my lower lash line and like a little bit in my crease. I'm not wearing this on my cheeks, but I have been, over the past little while since I finished off the Milani blush, trying to reach for this more consistently, and I've already seen progress happening, so I'm not certain, but I'm definitely trying. This next thing I'm going to say, I feel like does not sound possible. However, I'd like to finish off 2 pressed powders from my collection in the new year. I have had both of these in my collection for many years in several project pans, and they are 2 out of the 3 pressed powders that have been in my makeup inventory for the last 3 years. And it's time to say goodbye not only to these 2, but the other one as well. But I'd love to make some more effort to really work these 2 out of my collection. I'd love to use some other pressed powders in the future. And yeah, they both have mega pan. So the first one is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Shine Proof Powder in the shade 03 Natural Light. Lots of pan on here, tons and tons of progress made on this. I know I can finish it off if I just, laser focus, dedicate some serious time to it in the summer months. This color doesn't really work for me at this time of year. I find that it can look a little bit too dark, and in the summer, I want to really, really focus in on this because I can wear it as a powder foundation. I can wear it as a setting powder. I can use it to set down my primer on my lids. I can definitely multi-purpose it and use it up. There's no excuse for this to be in my makeup inventory at the end of 2022. It's just been around for far too long. And there's some serious progress on here. I just need to, again, focus on it. And the same thing goes for this one. I haven't had this in my collection quite as long, but I've still had this in my collection for at least 3 years. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder by Charlotte Tilbury. I have mine in the shade light to medium. I have extreme pan on this, like super duper pan on this, because I had this in my Graveyard Project pan so that I could make some progress on it this past year. And I've just been reaching for it almost habitually since then. And I just want to make sure that I keep up that momentum with it. And it would be amazing. Like, it would be quite a feat for me to see 2 pressed powders in my makeup empties at the end of next year, because that has never, ever been the case for me. That's never been my reality, because I've had the same 3 powders in my makeup inventory for the past 3 years, so there's never been an opportunity for any of them to make their way into an empties video, and I am going to remedy that this year for sure. And then I'd like to try out 1 pressed powder to replace both of these when that day comes. I have selected 3 lip products from my collection that I am certain I will be able to use up if I make that kind of effort and energy towards doing so. The first one is the Becca Glow Gloss in the shade Opal. This is pretty well used. I think this would only take me a matter of maybe 2 months to finish it off. I have been able to work my way through several lip glosses this past year, and it feels really good. It is so nice to have frequent empties because I'm using my lip glosses, especially lip product empties just feels like that much more of an accomplishment for me. So this for sure will be polished off no time whatsoever. I just need to, again, focus on it. I really need to just focus on it. I also want to really focus on using up this Bare Minerals Gen Nude Radiant Lipstick. This is in the shade Notorious. This is probably one of my top lip products in my makeup collection, and you can definitely tell that because I've used a heck of a lot of this already. I only have the tiniest nub of this product left, and I don't see it being any sort of problem or any sort of even challenge to finish this up, but I'd like to set that as the expectation that this will be empty in 2022. It is something that I have for a while kind of savored, and because I don't really want to replace it, and I don't feel like I have necessarily a replacement for it in my collection in terms of color or formula. However, I have selected one other lipstick that I feel like it's not the same, but it kind of provides the same sort of feeling for me. And that is this number 7 Moisture Drenched Lipstick in the shade Spice Latte. So this is much more of a brown orange kind of color, but the formula of these is very comparable. They're both very balmy, very comfortable, and definitely the type of lip product that I've just been preferring as of late. And again, I have the tiniest nub of this left. I did use this in a project pan way back, like several years ago, and I made tons of progress on it, and then I put it back into my collection, and I've reached for it only a few times really since then because I've been wanting to savor it. But I just love to spend 2022 in lip products that I adore, and this is one of those for sure for me. So I'll be able to actually enjoy reaching for this and wearing this, but I'd also really like to finish it off, and I don't foresee that being any sort of issue whatsoever. So those are the products that I would love to finish off in the new year. I think for a lot of them, they're gimmies, or they're pretty close to being gimmies for me. I just need to ensure that I actually make it happen. So I'm super motivated to finish off some products in the new year. I'm really looking forward to what project panning looks like for me in the new year because, as I said in a previous video, I'm just gonna do my own thing. I'm not gonna participate in any sort of collaborations or any large scale kind of project pans. But you'll be seeing some of these in that project pan. Let me know if you'd want to actually keep track of those products alongside me, or if any of these things are kind of boring, I should just work on them independently. Let me know your thoughts. I'm really excited to see what the new year brings for panning. Let me know if you have any experiences with any of these products through panning them as well. Am I setting myself up for some challenges? But yeah, that is absolutely everything. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.